I didn't know the package could scream. That's not how I planned to open this story, but that's how it began. I was 44, 2 years deep into freelance contracts after leaving the private security firm I'd worked for since Iraq. People assume bodyguards wear suits and stand next to politicians. Some do. Not me. I took jobs that didn't involve handshakes. If it paid well and didn't ask questions, I said yes. This one came through Vic. Escort cargo. Laredo to Houston. Sealed. No stops, no inspections. Big payout. I didn't blink. Paid half up front, no red flags, at least none I hadn't trained myself to ignore. The crate was 4x4, industrial black with reinforced edges, padlocked shut. It was already loaded when I got there. No logos, no paperwork. The kind of job that lets you forget you're human for a while. 6 hours in, just past San Antonio, I stopped for gas and stretched my legs behind the truck stop. That's when I heard it. A bang. Then another. Then a muffled scream. I stood there frozen. My first thought? Drugs. Maybe something alive, exotic animals. Then I heard words. Garbled Spanish. A girl's voice. Crying. Begging. I wanted to pretend I misheard it. Maybe it was a truck nearby. A radio. Anything but what I knew deep down. I popped the latch. Cut the lock. I told myself just to check. Just to make sure I wasn't going insane. When I opened the crate, she recoiled so fast she hit the back wall. Couldn't have been older than 15. Bare feet. Duct tape on her wrists, pulled half off. Hair stuck to her cheeks. Her eyes were wild, but not surprised. Like she expected something worse than me. I stepped back, hands raised. I'm not gonna hurt you. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared. I saw the corner of a rosary tucked into her hoodie. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a smuggling job. It wasn't a crate. It was a coffin with air holes. And I was the guy delivering it. I didn't touch my gun. I didn't move. I just sat down on the tailgate like the air had been punched out of me. I'd done 100 shady jobs. I'd moved boxes that bled. I'd walked away from rooms that smelled like regret. But this one? This one looked me in the eye. I didn't know the package could scream. But now I can't unhear it. Before that night, I thought I had control. Not over the world, just my role in it. Keep your head down, do the job, don't dig. That's how I survived Iraq, and that's how I lasted this long in freelance protection. Guys like me don't get retirement parties. We get severance and a burner phone. After I left the firm, I started running solo ops, private transport, low-profile security, contractor gigs. Everything from rich drunks who thought they were being stalked to sensitive cargo, across state lines. The less I asked, the easier it got. Vic was the go-to guy for those jobs. You don't meet Vic in person, you just get a message, a time, a pay rate. He liked me because I didn't complain. I didn't ask who the client was or what was in the bag. I kept my ears shut and the engine running. Most of the time, the jobs were clean enough. Some shady business deals. Surveillance gear. Illegal meds. Once, a crate that smelled like bleach and sadness. I didn't open it. There's a lie you start telling yourself when you do this kind of work. You say, if I didn't do it, someone worse would. It gives you just enough room to sleep at night. But the truth? That line keeps moving. Every job shifts it a little further. And one day you wake up and you're the guy who delivers the box that bleeds. I told myself I had control because I had rules. Never transport people. Never work in state lines you can't disappear from. Never open the cargo. That last one got me here. That day started like any other. I ate cold eggs from a gas station deli, did my usual inspection, lights, fluids, spare weapons stashed under the seat. When I showed up at the yard in Laredo, the crate was already loaded. Locked tight. I didn't see who dropped it off. There was a sticker on the side, white square, no label. Just a number. 0729. Maybe a code. Maybe someone's birthday. Doesn't matter now. I remember turning on the ignition and feeling nothing. No nerves. No thrill. Just another damn drive on an empty highway. Back then, the routine felt like armor. Drive, drop, get paid. I didn't think of people. I thought of miles. Of fuel. Of staying awake and off the radar. I knew where every rest stop was between Laredo and Houston. I'd done this route before. A dozen times. And it had always been quiet. But not this time. Now I can't stop thinking about her face. Not the screaming. The stillness right before. That moment when she saw me, and didn't even flinch, like she expected worse. I thought I was the one in control. But looking back, I was just the engine. She was the cargo. And someone else was driving the whole damn thing. She begged me to finish the job. Not in so many words, but that's what it was. After I opened the crate, I brought her into the motel room. Cheap place. Cash only. Peeling paint, buzzing neon outside, the kind of place where people don't ask questions because they already know the answers. She didn't cry. That's what got me. She sat in the corner of the bed, knees pulled up, arms wrapped tight, like she'd been in that position before. I tried talking to her. English first. Then broken Spanish. ¿Estás bien? Nothing. ¿Cómo te llamas? Silence. Mi nombre es Jack. No voy a hacer daño. She stared at the floor like she was reading something only she could see. Then finally, in a whisper. Estoy en camino. No debo hablar. I wanted to tell her she was safe. But I didn't know if that was true. I got her water. A granola bar. She wouldn't touch either. Just sat there, holding the frayed strap of a canvas backpack she wouldn't let go of. That backpack looked like it had been to hell and back, filthy. One strap melted like it had been near fire. She spoke again, later, when I sat by the door. If I don't go, others get hurt. Her voice was flat, rehearsed. Like she'd been trained to say it. I asked, "Who told you that?" She didn't answer. I called Vic, shouldn't have. But I needed to hear something human, even if it was his voice. She alive? Yeah. You opened it? She was screaming. He paused. You want to finish the job, or you want to start running? I didn't respond. He hung up. That's when it hit me. I wasn't in control anymore. I wasn't the one making choices. I was reacting. Flinching. She looked at me like she knew I was hesitating. Then she did something that still messes me up. She slid off the bed, walked over, and put her hands back behind her, wrists together, like she wanted to be taped up again. Like she was helping me finish it. I couldn't move. I just stared. Stop, I said. My voice cracked. She didn't flinch. Just whispered, I won't make noise this time. I swear to God, my stomach turned inside out. I turned away from her and sat in the bathroom for a full hour, lights off, just breathing. She wanted me to put her back in the crate. And part of me almost did. I told myself she was a mule. That's how I justified it, at first. That maybe she knew what this was. That maybe she'd volunteered. I've seen stranger things. Kids used to smuggle pills in candy boxes, teenagers getting paid to cross with mystery meds in duffels. Some even smiled like they were part of something bigger. But this wasn't that. I sat in the motel room, phone off, blinds drawn, gun on the nightstand. She hadn't moved in hours. Just stared at the wall like it might open up and take her back. The air felt stale. I kept replaying Vic's words. Finish the job or start running. Running where? I considered taking her to a hospital. But what would I say? Hi, I found a duct-taped girl in a box I was paid to deliver. I'd be cuffed before she got an aspirin. I thought about calling a lawyer. But I didn't trust anyone in my phone book. Not for this. I opened her backpack when she finally fell asleep. Inside, a plastic rosary, a stained tank top, a notebook with stick drawings and weird symbols. Some pages torn out. One showed a stick figure kneeling, surrounded by black circles and fire. Another had what looked like a family, then one figure crossed out, like it had been erased with rage. She twitched in her sleep. Whispered something, purred a name, over and over. Forgive me. I watched the door. I hadn't told Vic where we were, but that didn't matter. He had ways of knowing. And if this drop went bad, I wouldn't just be cut off, I'd be hunted. Around 2 a.m., she sat up, stared at me, and asked, Are you the one who kills me if I disobey? I swear I forgot how to breathe. I said, No. No one's killing you. She stared for a long second. That's what the last one said. Then she laid back down. There's a kind of horror that creeps slow. Not the gun-in-your-face kind. The kind that starts in your gut and climbs your spine. I felt it that night. Like I'd already failed. I wanted to believe she was a mule. I needed her to be part of this. Complicit. Willing. If she chose this, then I wasn't the villain. Just the ride. But she didn't choose. She was chosen. Like cargo. Like meat. And I was the one behind the wheel. She had no shoes, no ID, and no freedom. That morning, I finally saw her fully. Not as cargo. Not as a problem. As a person, barefoot on stained carpet, tracing a cigarette burn with her toe like it told a story. Her hair was a tangled mess, and the skin around her wrists was raw. She hadn't slept much. Neither had I. I tried again. You hungry? She shook her head. Same blank stare. Same silence. Then she reached into her backpack and pulled out a worn photo. I only got a glimpse, 2 boys and a woman. The boys were maybe 10. The woman was holding a baby. It looked like a family. But she tucked it away before I could ask. I wanted to leave. My instincts were screaming. I wasn't a rescuer. I was a transporter. The more time I spent with her, the deeper I sank. This wasn't the kind of mistake you got to walk away from. This was the kind that found you 10 years later with a bullet. I knew I had to make a call. Not to Vic. Not this time. I grabbed a cheap burner from my duffel and called a guy named Harris. He used to be military intelligence, now runs a PI firm that specializes in extraction and messes you can't explain on paper. He answered on the 3rd ring. Jesus, Jack. You still breathing? Barely. What's wrong? I've got a girl. Young. No ID. Came in a sealed crate. Long pause. You open a Vic job? I had to. Walk away, Jack. I can't. He sighed. GPS? I checked the crate again. That's when I saw it, hidden in the base, under a false panel. A black square, blinking every 5 seconds. Tracker. Probably a short-range ping, tied to a receiver at the drop point. I ripped it out and flushed it. Then Harris gave me the second blow. Jack, listen carefully. If this is what I think it is, you've got maybe 12 hours before someone comes looking. And they won't knock. He told me to switch cars, ditch all electronics, and go completely dark. And then he said something that stuck. She's not a package anymore. She's evidence. That word hit harder than I expected. Evidence. She wasn't just some girl I stumbled into. She was proof. Of a system. Of something organized. Big enough to hide kids in plain sight and pay 6 figures to move them. She wasn't supposed to be seen. And I saw her. Now we were both problems. I finally asked her name. She didn't have one. Not really. Not one she claimed. She stared at me for a long moment, then said, They call me Marisol. Like she was reading from a script, like it was a name someone gave her to make her easier to move. I said, What's your real name? She didn't answer. We were hiding out at a truck arrest stop just outside Victoria, Texas. I'd swapped vehicles, left my truck behind a shuttered diner, and took a used Ford from a guy who owed me. No plates, no questions. I paid cash. The girl, Marisol, hadn't spoken much since I destroyed the tracker. But she started humming. Same tune, over and over. Low, rhythmic, almost calming. Until you realized the words were missing. Like they'd been erased. I sat on the floor beside the motel dresser, watching the door. I asked again, gently this time. Why did they put you in that crate? She looked down at her hands. I was chosen. Chosen for what? To bring the light. To open the path. I didn't breathe for a few seconds. What path? She pointed to her notebook, the one with the stick figures and black circles. The old ones wait in the dark. They said I'm clean. They said I belong. It wasn't just trafficking. It wasn't just smuggling. This was indoctrination. Someone had broken her and filled her back up with rules, symbols, roles. She didn't need guards, she carried the cage inside her. And I'd just torn the walls open. I sat with that for a long time. I remembered a mission in Colombia years ago. We'd found a camp where kids were being prepared for martyrdom. They called it training. I called it hell. I walked away. Told myself it wasn't my business. That was the last time I saw one of them alive. I wasn't going to make that mistake again. I pulled out the burner and called the only man who'd ever put his neck on the line for me, Grant Kessler. Ex-DHS, now living off-grid in the desert, somewhere between conspiracy theory and survivalist prepper. He answered on the second ring. You need to disappear? Yeah. You alone? No. Shit. He told me where to meet him. Said to come fast, don't bring phones, and be ready to burn everything. I agreed. Marisol sat cross-legged on the bed, hugging her knees. I asked if she trusted me. She shook her head no. And still, she followed me out the door. You're now a threat, Jack. That's what Grant said the second we stepped out of the car. He met us at an abandoned way station in the middle of the desert. The place looked like it hadn't seen a truck in 10 years. Broken scale, shattered windows, nothing but dust and heat. He stood in the shade of a rusted sign, wearing mirrored sunglasses and holding a rifle like it was just part of his arm now. Marisol wouldn't get out at first. She sat in the back seat, clutching her backpack like it had oxygen in it. I had to coax her gently, tell her he was safe. She didn't believe me, but she followed anyway. Grant didn't ask questions. He never did. Just looked at her, then at me, and nodded like he already knew. She's one of theirs. He muttered, more to himself than to me. One of who? He waved me inside. The building smelled like old fuel and mouse shit. He led us to a back room where he had blackout curtains and a CB radio that still worked. The walls were covered in maps and tacked up articles, missing persons, cartel news, weird symbols. Looked like a serial killer's den, but I knew better. This was how Grant survived. By over-preparing. He handed me a jug of water and said it again, louder. You're a threat now, Jack. To them. To who? I snapped. The ones who paid for her. The ones who were supposed to receive her. You've seen her face. You heard her speak. That's enough. I looked at Marisol. She was sitting on a dusty cot, whispering that same broken tune to herself. Still in that gray hoodie, still bare feet on the concrete. What do I do? I asked. You disappear. And her? He paused. That's your call. But if you keep her with you, you'll have to burn every piece of your old life. No calls. No jobs. No trace. I stared at the wall behind him. There was a photo tacked up, blurry surveillance, maybe from a border checkpoint. I looked closer. The van in the photo? Mine. From 3 days ago. They already saw us, I whispered. He didn't flinch. Then you're late. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Marisol. She curled into the corner of the cot like a child hiding from thunder. Every sound outside made her flinch. Me too. I kept the rifle next to me, safety off. That was the first night I started counting how many ways someone could get through that door. They found us once. It was 3 nights after we got to Grant's safe house. Middle of nowhere, half buried in sand and silence. We'd kept the lights low. Phones off. Water sparing. Grant had built the place himself. Solar panels, hidden entry, backup generator that sounded like a cough instead of a hum. It felt safe, until it didn't. Around 2 a.m. I heard tires on gravel. No lights. Just the crunching sound of a slow roll. Not a local. Not lost. Someone looking. I got Marisol into the crawlspace under the floor. Grant rigged it with a vent and just enough space for a kid to lie flat. She didn't argue this time. Didn't even blink. She just climbed down like she'd done it before. Grant handed me a short-barrel shotgun and nodded toward the back. If they push, go loud. I waited by the side window, body flat, breath slow. I counted 3 doors opening. Footsteps on dirt. Quiet. Professional. No one talked. That was the giveaway. They weren't cops, weren't neighbors. They were hired. They circled. Stopped. One knocked, once. Then again. Then nothing. And then they left. Didn't force it. Didn't shout. Just left like shadows. Grant didn't chase. I didn't breathe for 5 minutes straight. When it felt safe, I pulled Marisol out. She looked calm. Too calm. Like fear had calcified inside her long ago. They'll try again, Grant said. That was a probe. We packed up before dawn. Left the hideout behind. Burned the trail. He gave us a new route and a contact 2 states over. Someone who used to handle witness relocation before she got tired of bureaucracy and started hiding people for real. The road was quiet. No trackers. No tails. Just me, the girl, and the silence between us. She broke it once. If they take me, you die too. I glanced over. Is that what they told you? She didn't answer. Just stared out the window. Her hand reached into her hoodie, clutched the rosary like it held all the rules she couldn't break. I didn't tell her the truth, that she wasn't the first I couldn't save. But she might be the last. I delivered her, but not to them. We met the contact in a truck wash bay just outside Las Cruces. Middle of nowhere. Metal walls, half-lit, stinking of soap and diesel. The woman was already waiting. Mid-40s, hard eyes, government posture. Introduced herself as Marie. No last name. She didn't waste time. Looked at Marisol, then at me. She's been indoctrinated? Yeah, I said. Deep. Marie nodded. I've seen worse. You got IDs? No. Good. Don't lie to me. She knelt in front of Marisol. Said something soft in Spanish. Marisol didn't respond. Just kept her eyes low and clutched her backpack like always. Marie stood up. We'll start with food, clean clothes, and a quiet room. The rest comes later. She pulled out a clipboard and fake intake forms. I signed a made-up name and birth date. No fingerprints. No cameras. No questions. When it was done, Marie took Marisol's hand gently. She flinched. Marie didn't push. We'll move her twice before placing her, she said. New foster, fresh identity, trauma support. Takes time. I nodded, feeling everything and nothing. Why are you doing this? I asked. Marie shrugged. Because someone has to. Because I couldn't save the last one. She paused at the van door. You didn't rescue her. You interrupted something. That's different. But maybe that's enough. Marisol looked back once before stepping in. No smile. No goodbye. Just those dark eyes, wide open, as the door shut. And that was it. No explosion. No resolution. Just silence and heat and a dead burner phone in my hand. I didn't drive straight home. I didn't have one anymore. I went south, then west, then south again. Changed vehicles twice. Slept in the back seat. Burned everything I didn't need. Eventually, I ended up in Arizona. Trailer off a side road near nothing. No neighbors, no questions. I work under the table. Fix engines. Stay quiet. I never contacted Marie again. Never checked. That was the deal. If she survives without me. If they find her, I won't know. But I kept one thing, the stick figure notebook. I told her I'd hold on to it. Proof she was real. Sometimes I flip through it. Symbols I still don't understand. Circles and fire and eyes scratched out with rage. But one page is different. A new drawing. 2 stick figures. One bigger. One smaller. Holding hands. My name's on a list now. I don't know which one. Government. Cartel. Private buyer. Doesn't matter. I just know I don't exist the way I used to. The guy who used to get clean contracts, handshakes and envelopes, he's dead. Burned out. Erased. No one calls anymore. The old network dried up fast. Vic's number rings dead. Some say he skipped town. Others say they found what was left of him near the border, tied to a fence post. No eyes. I don't ask. Every now and then I'll feel it. That heat in my ribs, that crawl down my spine. Like I've been tagged. Watched. Not close enough to catch me, but enough to remind me I'm not forgotten. I keep my trail cold. Change the rhythm. I sleep at odd hours. I take different roads. I never go to the same gas station twice. There's a map in my head now, one made of red flags and black holes. Places I don't go. People I don't trust. Names I don't say out loud. I don't talk about her. Not to the guy who pays me in cash for fixing radiators. Not to the woman at the feed store who thinks I'm ex-railroad. Not to myself, even. I leave her where I left her, in that drawing, in that van, in that space between what happened and what I let happen. But I did keep one thread open. One P.O. box in El Paso. Under a different name, tied to a burner that stays off unless I check it. Empty for months. Then last week, I found something inside. A Polaroid. No name. No message. Just a photo. It was her. Different hair, different clothes. Healthier. Still thin. Still cautious. But smiling. Barely. She stood in front of a Foster house, bright paint, chain swing, potted flowers. Someone had drawn a smiley face on the mailbox in Sharpie. She was holding a book. Not the old one. A new one. And for the first time in a year, I sat down. Not to eat. Not to sleep. Just sat. And breathed. It didn't feel like closure. Not really. Just a pause in the war. But I'll take it. For now. Every time I drive, I check the trunk now. Doesn't matter where I'm going. Grocery run, job site, gas station out in the desert, my hand still finds the latch. Just to make sure. I don't expect to find anyone. That's not the point. It's a reflex. Like a soldier counting exits. Like an addict checking their pockets for something they swore they quit. Sometimes I wonder if she ever checks the door locks at night. If she's learned to sleep through silence. If she still carries that backpack, even now. I don't want to know. Because the second I know she's safe, the second I relax, that's when they come back. They don't forget people like me. Guys who open crates. Guys who ask questions after the money clears. Guys who see something they weren't supposed to see, and then try to fix it. They don't kill you quick. They don't make noise. They wait. Let you rot in your own paranoia until one day someone brushes your shoulder at a gas pump and it's the last thing you ever feel. So no, I'm not safe. Not even close. I keep a rifle behind the couch. I sleep with my boots on. I don't drink. I don't date. I don't watch the news. Too many faces. Too many almosts. I live on a tight loop of caution and silence. It's not peace. It's not redemption. It's maintenance. Sometimes people talk about fresh starts. About healing. They say you can forgive yourself if you really try. I don't buy it. You don't forgive yourself when you were part of the machine. You just stop bleeding and hope no one notices you were ever cut. That's what this life is now. Not payback. Not heroics. Just quiet maintenance of a very fragile nothing. She's out there somewhere. That's enough. But me? I still check the trunk.